In this week's episode of Working with Todoist, it's all about how I do my weekly review. Hello and welcome to another episode of Working with Todoist. My name is Pullein, and in this week's episode I'm going to show you how I am doing my weekly review right now. Now, before we go into this in a little bit more detail, why should we do a weekly review? Now, one of the things that I have learned throughout all the time that I've been following Getting Things Done, and also through the COD system, Collect, Organize and Do, which is kind of my alt version of GTD, if you like. What I've realized is that the glue that brings everything together and to gets your productivity system to stick is the weekly review. If you're not doing a weekly review, things are going to slip through the cracks. Things are not going to get done, and you're going to miss important events. You're going to miss important tasks, and you're not going to have those ideas, those amazing ideas that you generate every single day are not going to get collected. And if they do get collected, they get lost in the system. The weekly review is what brings all that back to the surface and allows you to make a clear decision about what to do with whatever it is that you collected. And that's why weekly reviews really work. And if you're not doing them now, make sure you watch this episode and hopefully it will give you some ideas of what you can do with your weekly review. Now, before we go into Todoist, what I should point out is one of the key parts of doing a weekly review is make sure you're in a relaxed state. If you're in a stressed state, if you don't allow yourself enough time to do it, you are not going to do it properly. And it does go wrong if you're not doing it properly, and you will miss stuff. So make sure that whatever you're doing with your weekly review, that you're in a relaxed state. For me, I do my weekly review every Sunday afternoon. I usually allow myself 40 to 50 minutes to do it. I have a nice cup of tea at my side. I'm listening to some great music, and I just enjoy the whole process. And it also allows me to make sure that all my projects are moving forward on a week-to-week basis, and I'm going to show you exactly how that's done right now. Anyway, so before we go any further though, I would like to say, if you like this episode, please click on that like button below, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe. Okay, let's go straight into Todoist, and I will show you how I do my weekly review. Okay, so the first thing I am going to do when I do my weekly review is I always make sure that I zero out my inbox. So everything gets organized, everything gets put into its right project, and I can then move on to the next stage. Now, the next stage is to clear out my next actions. Now, you're going to be wondering why I want to clear out my next actions. Well, my next actions are quite simply, in order for me to do next actions is I need to gamify. I need to turn it into a game. My goal is by the following Sunday when I do my weekly review, this particular label is clear. It's empty. I want to zero it out. Now, if I don't have that kind of goal, if I don't have that kind of game to play with myself, then I'm going to find that I don't do my next actions, and I need to find a way to motivate myself to do it. So what I do is I've gamified it, and I set up usually about 7 to 10 next actions that I really would like to get done next week, but it wouldn't be the end of the world if I didn't, because none of them are time sensitive. So here we have 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the side, and I'm going to click on the side of this one, the left hand side. That brings up these options here. If you go to more, I can remove the label, and I'm going to remove next actions, and that's gone. Now the reason is because each week I want a fresh start with my next actions. Now just remember that your next actions are things that are not time sensitive, but you would like to do anyway because it keeps moving a project forward. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my projects, and I go through each project step by step. Now, some of these actually have, unfortunately, because this is my demo account, these are somewhat set up for today. And already I see I'm breaking a rule because I've got 10 things in here. This is, by the way, a good tip for you, for those of you who are following the 2+8 prioritization system. You're going to find if you've got in today's focused 11, that means there's one too many. So I would actually go through here and I would look and say, right, I'm not going to have time to do that. So I'm going to remove the flag, and that will bring it down to my 10. That's just a quick tip for you there. But you should be doing that when you do your daily review. This is the weekly review. But I'm going to go through each project one by one. So get new security card from HR. Now this has already got a P1 flag on it. And I'm going to decide, is that still okay? And is it going to happen today? And I'm going to say, right, I'm not going to see HR until Wednesday. So I would go into the date and I would put Wednesday. And bang, that would go off to Wednesday. And I go through each project exactly like that. Now, there is one more other thing that I do, and that's I actually go to my calendar. And in this case, I actually use Apple's calendar because I just find it sits better. And I usually put that in with my review. So I've got here my Todoist and I've got my calendar, and I usually go now. This is using my laptop screen, so it's actually quite small. But what I do like to do is I like to actually use this in conjunction with my calendar. So I've got my calendar here. I can see the whole week, the following week. If I can go to here, I can see the whole week as it's coming up. So I know then which days are going to be busy. And that's all I'm looking for. I'm not looking for individual appointments. What I'm looking for is which days are going to be busy. So I can see, for example, that Saturday the 19th is looking very busy. I can also see that Tuesday looks quite busy. But anyway, as I go through each of these projects, so I want to bring in my project. So that's project X. Now, normally on a 27-inch monitor that I'm using, I actually get the full view of Todoist. In here, I'm not getting the full view. And I wonder if I can just zoom out. Yeah, you can get the zoom. If you zoom out, you can actually get it. So I've got it here. And then go into the next project, and I will go through that one. I'll talk to Derek about next week's client meeting. Let's say I can do that tomorrow. And I would add the date, and I would double check the flag as I go through. Now this is done in a completely relaxed state. I've got my cup of tea at the side of me. I've got the music. And I just go through each project step by step. Now let's say, for example, I'm going to remove the dates here because this is causing a lot of confusion. So let me just remove the dates. So remove the dates, no date. So let's just say that this Abacus project is not a time sensitive project. Maybe there's nothing much going on. So I'm looking at this and I thought, okay, yeah, I do need to talk to Derek about the client meeting. So I'm going to add that as a next action. And as I go through this, I can actually add my next actions. And I do add next actions. I don't add a date to a next action because the idea is if I can get 7 next actions for the week, that's going to move 7 projects forward or 7 areas of focus forward. And it's also going to allow me to do 1 extra task a day. And that's why I like to gamify. So as I go through this, I've got my work one here, new security card. I've got all these things here. And then I go into my home and I look at this and think, oh yeah, I can do that on Saturday. So although this might not be a particularly urgent task, I'm thinking, sure, I can do that on Saturday. That album's come out now. And I add a date. Now it would not get the label, so I would just get at and laptop because it needs to be downloaded. And I've got online already there. And let's say I really, really want this. I'm going to add the flag. It doesn't have a flag now, so I'm going to add a P2 flag. And bang, that's done. So I'm going through looking at my calendar to see how busy I am. Is there anything actually, busy coming up? Is there any crazy stuff coming up? And I can see from my calendar then, when I'm going through my weekly review, each project, how busy I'm going to be. Now, as I have already said, and I should stress this again, Normally I'm doing this on a 27-inch monitor, not on a 13-inch monitor. That's why everything's looking a bit cramped here. But normally my calendar view is much clearer than that. But really it doesn't actually matter. The calendar view essentially is just to see how busy I am on specific days. Like Wednesday the 16th, late in the afternoon, looks busy. But Thursday at the moment looks very, very quiet. So I could be thinking, oh, right, I can do a lot of tasks on Thursday. So this is the way that I go through, and I go through each project, and I will also go through my areas of focus to see if there's anything that I've been neglecting, anything that I want to review. So I've got my morning routine set up here, and I can look at this, and I can look at my evening routine. Is there anything I want to modify here? And I do this every single week, and I go through each one step by step, just go down each one and see, right, okay, I need to make an appointment to see the dentist on Friday. I need to do that on Monday. So I check my calendar again. Am I looking good on Friday? Yeah, it looks like I'm reasonably clear Friday afternoon. So that's good. I can do that. And if this hasn't got a flag yet, I would flag that as a red flag if it's an objective, or an orange flag if I want to do it in the morning. Yellow flag if I want to do it in the afternoon. And I just go through each project step by step, one by one, asking, do I want to do it next week? And again, I refer to the calendar over here. So this is really important that you have your calendar open at the same time. One of the mistakes people make is they just do it blindly, not knowing what they have scheduled for the week. And you would just go through every single one. Again, I would check my goals to make sure that these are all relevant, that I'm monitoring my goals, anything that I'm measuring is being measured. You know, it's just a review to make sure. And then I would look into my someday maybe. Now, the thing is, with my someday maybe folder, I don't check that every week. I usually check it maybe once a month. Usually the first Sunday of the month, I will go through my someday maybe. But on the whole, I don't, because nothing in there is time sensitive. Nothing in there has started. If it's due to start, let's say, for example, my Time and Life Mastery book, if I have a task that's due to start there, I would actually just create a task review T and LM book project. I would put that in for Sunday, because Sunday's when I do my daily review, and I would flag that as a 2. I'm going to do that right. Flag that as a P2, and I would just drag that to the top there. So that's what I would actually do with that one, so that will come up on Sunday. I've got to continue writing, but that should not be in there because I am not. It's in the someday maybe. So if I've got any dates in a someday maybe, by the way, that's another thing that you can do. I've got some here where, again, I can shift click, will open it up. I can go in here and I can schedule, and it'll say no date because it's a someday maybe. So I would check here. The only one I've got a date is just to review, which is okay. And that's it. That's basically how I do my weekly review. I go through everything and I make sure that I'm covered, and then I will look at for what I want to do as my next action. So you go into here and I say, right, next action, next actions, and then hopefully by the time I've finished my weekly review, I've got between 7 and 10 next actions, and I basically try to zero them out by the end of the week. Doesn't matter if I don't, but just gamifying it makes it a little bit more interesting and allows me to really get on with my work and to make sure that all projects are moving forward. Anyway, hopefully you found this episode useful. If it's given you some ideas about how to do your weekly review, I don't recommend doing it through filters of every task that you have. It's much better to go through project by project or area of focus by area of focus. You'll find it much easier to manage when you do your weekly review that way. Okay, it just remains for me now to wish you all a very, very productive week. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked what you saw and you would like to learn more about becoming better organized and more productive, then get yourself enrolled in my free beginner's guide to creating your own COD system. And if you'd like to learn more about how I can help you, then visit my website at carlpullein.com. All the details are in the show notes below.